Today, we are going to be taking a look at probably the most useful and my favorite command in Minecraft, the fill command. So here we are inside of Minecraft, and as you would expect, the fill command fills in blocks. So let's give you a bit of an example. Let's say I have a block here, and I want to fill from that block to a block over here, and I want it just to be stone. Then I can use this command to fill stone and then enter, and then bam, now you have a whole bunch of stone. This is very similar to worldedit. Worldedit has been around for forever, but this functionality of setting a position 1 and a position 2 and then filling all the blocks in between those two positions with whatever type of block that you want, that is sort of the simplistic version of what we are going to be doing. So let's take a look at the command that I just ran. First, you have to start off with the argument that this is going to be the fill command. You just have to have that in there. The first numbers that show up in blue, those are the coordinates of your first block. And if you don't happen to know the coordinates of a block, or you don't want to open up F3 and all that stuff, I have a great tip for you. I just showed it off. So we're going to get to that in just a second. Next is the second set of coordinates for the second block that you're going to be targeting. And then the game will fill in the blocks in between those two positions, those two targets, with whatever you set in the third little argument here, and that is stone. That's what I have set here. So if I change that from stone to air and hit enter, it'll delete basically all of those blocks. All it's doing is filling that in with air. And now, you've done the command. Now, a concept that you should keep in mind is that this command will always fill in between your two targets diagonally in any way that it can. So let's say this is our first position. Actually, let's use something that's other than stone so we can get a better view of it. So let's say this is our first position, and if this is our second position, then it will fill in a fashion you can kind of imagine in this sort of direction like that, so that it'll fill in diagonally in between. Then if we start going, that's basically a two-dimensional fill. And I'll go ahead and actually do that command. So there you go. That is the fill command that will actually pull off. But if this was our starting position and our second position was in a three-dimensional sort of situation, then it will fill in all the blocks, including the third dimension, which is kind of what we saw in the first example. So you can create lines if you want, as long as you don't move from that first plane. So you could, start here, start over there as position 2, and then fill that in, and it'd just be a line. If you want it to be a plane, then you would add a position offset from that first position. And then if you wanted it to be a cube, you would go in the next dimension. So this is a very powerful tool to really make any type of creation. This will not make spheres or triangles or pyramids or anything like that. You are stuck with boxes, unfortunately. External tools like worldedit have some functionality. You wouldn't be using a fill command, you'd be using a sphere command or a cylinder command in order to pull that off, but none of that is built into the vanilla game. Now, I mentioned that there was a technique that you can use if you do not know the exact coordinates of a block. So let's say I put a block down here. Well, obviously I don't want to hit F3 and then go and stand on the block and then see my coordinates and then subtract the one I'm standing on. That would take way too much work. So the developers have built in a really, really nice way to know what block that is. And basically, wherever your hitbox is, whatever that block that is being selected is, then you will have the option to autofill that in the chat. So after I do the fill command, I hit space, you can see that is the block. So all I have to do is tab complete, or just bring my mouse over here and click it and then hit space. Now you can see that it's needing the second coordinate, and because I'm still staring at this block, these two coordinates match, as you can see. Well, that would be a very small fill. So what you can do is you can just hit enter, and the command will fail because the command needs both of the coordinates and a block to fill. So the command fails. So why would we fail the command? Because once we hit enter, we can get that command back easily by hitting up on our keyboard and just using the last command. So that's our first position. We have that stored in the chat. Then we move over to our second position. Once again, we stare at the block that we want to be selected. We open up the chat. We hit the up arrow key to get that previous coordinate, hit the space bar, and now you have the coordinate of the block that you're looking at now. Hit space and type in whichever type of thing you would like to be filled. And really everything is here in alphabetical order. And if you just start typing really anything, then it will autofill all the, it'll whitelist or blacklist all the words that don't match what you are currently typing. So even if I just started, typing something randomly, yellow, okay, there we go. Let's do yellow wool. Hit enter, and then there we go. Now we have some yellow wool. But you can make this command much, much, much more powerful with a few extra arguments. So let's take this yellow wool and let's make this all air. We don't want the yellow wool anymore. Let's say that right here in the middle of where we had just done that command, let's add a little build. So inside of this area, I'm going to build the most amazing and adorable unicorn you have ever seen. Wait 1 second. There we go. You got to have the horn on correctly and then a tail. Perfect. Okay. An amazing unicorn. And I would like to encase this unicorn in glass. Glass everywhere except for where we have the unicorn. Well, if we look at the command that we just did, this will fill everything with glass if we were to type out glass. And remember, we could do a certain color. So if we wanted gray stained glass right here, we could do that. But let's just do clear glass. So glass is what we want. If I hit enter right now, it will completely wipe out my build and replace all of the blocks in that area with glass. But you can see that there are a few right here, a few extra little arguments. So let's use the replace argument. And what we really want to replace is everything that isn't air. So we want all the air to turn into glass, but anything else that's there that's not air, keep that where it is. And so that is what the replace argument can be used for, is you can replace certain blocks. So let's hit enter, and there we go. Now we have our unicorn encased in glass. It looks a little bit funky because all of the redstone pieces sort of have air in them a little bit, but there you go. Now we have a easily made unicorn encased in glass. Let's say I didn't like the glass and I wanted to get rid of it, so I can do the same fill command, but this time let's make the glass turn back into air. So what we want is air replace glass. So the glass will be removed and replaced with air. Boop, there you go. If I wanted to change the color of this creature here, so I could do the same sort of situation. This one, I'm going to, let's change it just to some yellow wool. Yellow wool, replace, I believe that is magenta? What do you think, magenta? Magenta wool? Let's take a guess. I think it's magenta. There, it was magenta. It wasn't purple. There we go. So now we have a new color of wool with our sheep. Or unicorn, I should say. Beware, because there is no undo. If you accidentally did your command incorrectly and deleted whatever you had in there, it's gone. There is no undo. There is no going back to what you had previously had, which is a little bit sad, I gotta say. This is a very, very powerful tool because let's say over here, this was the build that we used for our mirrored floor episode. And so I use the fill command an awful lot in this episode. Let's say I didn't like the fact that right here we had stone along the edges. I wanted a different block. Well, I can quickly change that block by coming over here, using the fill command and selecting the first coordinate. then coming over to the other side, and either I could do this first layer or I could do all layers by coming all the way down here and selecting that. And let's choose a block to, let's just say netherrack. How about that? Netherrack, that's what we want to replace, but we don't want to replace the wood. We just want to replace the stone. And there we go. So now all the stone is now netherrack, and we can go back into our build and take a look at it. Ooh, yes, that matches the red floor just perfectly. Let's say I didn't like that. I could go the opposite direction and have stone replace netherrack, which is way down here at the bottom. Hit enter, and there we go. So now that has been fixed as well. So this can be very powerful, especially if you already have a build and you just have a few blocks that you need to switch out for others. But there's a whole bunch of other arguments in here as well. So not just replace, and let's go ahead and work with a new area. I don't want to be editing that because once again, there's no undo. So let's go ahead and fill a new area. And let's fill it with diamond ore. Why not? So there we go. So now we have this new area that we're working with diamond ore. And as you can see, there's a whole bunch of other arguments. So you have destroy, hollow, keep, outline, and replace. We've covered replace. Let's talk about destroy. What destroy does is when the command is run, it will replace it with another block, but the block that is being replaced, that will be broken as if the player broke it with, the player broke it. So if it is something that drops experience, it'll drop experience. If it's something that drops an item, it'll drop the item. If it's something that drops a block of itself, it'll drop the block of itself. So if we do this command, what's going to happen here, let's go ahead and set this with air instead of with another block, and then use destroy. There we go. So there's a whole bunch of experience. There's a whole bunch of diamonds, a whole bunch of stuff sitting on the ground now, and I can go around and pick up all of these diamonds and experience. I just wanted to see 21. Oh my gosh, there's so many levels. Come to me, experience. Come on. Yes. More. Can we get to level 30? Oh, crummy. I don't think we're, oh, maybe we will. No, we got it. Ah, we didn't get to level 30. Darn it. But we did get a whole bunch of diamonds. But if you use that destroy command, and we could just set this to, I don't know, glass. There you go. And use the destroy command. So this is white concrete, and we use glass. It will replace with glass, but it'll also drop all of the concrete as well. So that is what the destroy command does. This is really something if you were a map maker and you wanted the effect of the block breaking and also dropping whatever it normally drops. That's really why you would be using this command. In creative, just trying to make, things, you probably aren't going to be using the destroy command. Let me get rid of all that. Next is the hollow command, and let's choose a new block to work with. This time, let's keep it to glass, but let's do some black stained glass here. And we are going to use the hollow command. And what this will do is it will create your command here that is hollow. So that's really all it is. Now this is hollow, but it still has a roof and a ceiling. So you can see here that there's really only one block in this 3 tall situation that is going to be hollow, and that will delete any other blocks that are inside of there. So if we happened to start this out with some diamond blocks and then we did the hollow command, it deletes the diamond blocks. Now this is different. Let's go back to diamond blocks. This is different than the outline command. So you can see destroy, hollow, keep, outline, replace. We're going to skip over keep for just a moment and go straight to outline. What outline will do is it will keep whatever is in the center. So it's basically exactly the same as the hollow command, except that it will make sure to only do the outer blocks and keep anything inside that hollow space. With worldedit, there is another command called walls, which I really, really miss. And what walls does is it only does the outline, but it doesn't have a roof or a floor. And I miss that. I miss that all the time. I really wish that that existed. So now you have to do like 3 different commands. You have to do the hollow or outline, and then you have to remove the ceiling and the floor if you want to get that sort of thing. So I don't know, it's just a side there that I really miss walls. Now, there is one more argument that we need to talk about, and that is keep. And keep is really just a shortcut against replace. So you noticed earlier, let's go ahead and fill this whole area with air, and let's go ahead and do another build. But this one, we're not gonna spend as much time on this build. Oh, gorgeous. Oh, look at that amazing art. So earlier, when I wanted to keep any of the build that was inside of one of these fill commands, I did the replace command with air. Keep is basically that, but the shortcut is that you only have to do keep. You don't have to say replace space air. You can just type out keep, and it will only replace air with whatever you are filling. So let's go back to glass, because I like that you can still see everything inside of it. If you hit keep, then it will only replace the air in that area with whatever you are filling. So using the keep command, it'll replace air, but using the replace command, you could really do whatever the heck you want. So let's replace these planks, and there we go. So now we have a new type of block. Also, a thing to keep in mind is that you still have the ability to change the NBT data about each of these blocks. So with these oak logs, let's go ahead and actually run a command, which is going to seem a little bit weird, to fill oak logs, replacing oak logs. And with these oak logs, let's add in an argument with these square brackets here, and that will be the axis argument. And we can change that axis to X, Y, or Z, and that will change which direction they are facing. So in the X direction, you can see that they face all in, and if I was to hit F3, that is the X axis. And then if we do that again, but this time replace that with Y, you have them all in default, and then in Z they will face this other direction that we are looking right now, and they'll face in that direction. So you can also do that with blocks, where if you have a specific block like these stripped logs right here, then they will be able to be in a rotation that you would like. Maybe you're dealing with furnaces and you need them to face a certain direction. You can add all of that into your fill command. So as you can see, there is a good reason why this is one of my absolute favorite commands to work with, because there is so much power built in to the fill command to do really whatever you want. This also works. A lot of what I've talked about works on the Bedrock edition. The one thing that doesn't work so great is the NBT editing. You really can't go in there and add the arguments that it would face, to the Y, X or Z coordinates, but really everything else, including the fact that when you look at a block, it'll autofill for you. It may behave a bit differently. I know on Bedrock, if you do that, you need to hit tab twice in order to get the coordinate that you want, but it mostly all works on Bedrock and Java Edition the same way. There you have it. I hope that you found this video super duper useful. If you did, please give this video a big old thumbs up. Also, make sure you subscribe for future videos, tips, tricks, tutorials, and spotlights here on OMG Craft. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.